Hello, everyone. We're back with another installment of our Spartan Strong web series, and today we'll be talking to Dino Manuel, class of 1997. Dino has been a designer and director for brands like Nike, Hurley, DC Shoes, Skull Candy, and most recently started his own creative design studio, Dynamic Dynosaur, based in Los Angeles, California. We'll be talking a story about how he started his career and find out what he's been up to ever since his time at Maryknoll.
Who is Dino Manuel?
Oof, that's a good question. I AKA the Dynamic Dinosaur, who makes rad. I make things for people that are interesting, that relate to whatever their facets are, and their ideals, and bring it to life. But I think more importantly, I felt like I had to develop an identity for myself, kind of to conceal myself in a way, which is I'm definitely an introvert, and I noticed that even at Maryknoll, I was like that. There was a classroom that a bunch of kids that would like play like magic cards or collect comic books and all that, would be in this room or whatever, and I'm not outgoing, so I used to sit in this room and listen to like mixtapes and hip hop things that I was really into. I wasn't really into kind of the mainstream stuff that was going on in '97 and all that. Um, I was kind of more into like the underground and stuff not being played on the radio is kind of what I was more into. But when you're asking me who I am, I'm just more of this shy kid that had to develop a name for myself, and I hid behind this name Dynamic Dinosaur when I went to New York, and I used to
Nice.
tag dinosaurs all over the street in New York,
Right.
and that's kind of how it all started. There was a rapper that I really liked named MF Doom,
Uh,
and I think somebody told me something about him, like he was able to hide behind something else to be himself, and I kind of like that thing too. So I
mm,
felt like maybe I could hide behind this thing called Dynamic Dinosaur to be my voice. And the logo is actually something that kind of reference everybody back home. And my logo is a dinosaur that has his mouth kind of straight up, and it's yelling at the top of his lungs. And I told my uncle whatever I did out there on the mainland, I made sure that he'd hear me. That's kind of why
uh,
the logo looks the way it does. And if you look even closely to the identity of it, like the upper jaw of the dinosaur versus the bottom of the jaw, it's actually a shaka, just really hidden that you don't really see. So I keep my roots in, but I hide it in a way where it's like these little clever meanings and messages, like these hip hop albums that I was highly influenced
right.
by when I was a kid. High school, like I used to make mixtapes for all my friends,
Oh, it's
but
nice.
I called myself Dynamite back then. Um,
Oh,
I guess the word dynamic, that play. So basically, it's, I mean, dynamic is to be diverse. Dynamic is have spontaneity with everything. And I originally have a major in painting and printmaking in San Francisco, and I got a full ride at Parsons in New York to study graphic design. So I thought when the two worlds of art and design meet, to me that was dynamic. And
wow.
dinosaur was just everybody at Maryknoll, like all my friends and stuff, call me dinosaur. Times it just kind of stuck.
Oh, so your painting background, I mean, were you painting in high school and stuff too?
Ooh, good question. Yes, there was a really amazing teacher that was my mentor. Yeah, I still believe he is my mentor now.
Mm.
His name is Bradley Koki. Somebody from Maryknoll actually tried to contact me when he was not doing too well, and people were trying to find me for forever, and
Oh,
nobody could
no
find
way.
me. And then somebody found
Uh-huh.
me on LinkedIn on accident, kind of in disbelief, for like, is this the same person? Bradley's work highly influenced me. Teaching style definitely influenced me in the way that I talk to my designers on my team now. I owe a lot to Bradley, and kind of the strong foundations he gave me over at Maryknoll in that regard. I think that's the only class I really excelled in. Yeah, I had no idea you could make a career out of doing
Right.
something like art, and Bradley honestly was the one who kind of put the seed in my brain. So if I wasn't in that room with the comic book kids or the skateboarders watching skate flicks, I was literally in Mr. Koki's room working on an art piece or painting waves or something of that sort. I felt like Maryknoll had a really strong art program, especially the curriculum that Bradley kind of evoked when you had to make a portfolio to show to a college. I mean, the funny part was I knew that Bradley went to Art Institute, San Francisco. I was stupid because I didn't really read it, and I applied to a different school. I thought I was applying to his school, and I ended up going to the school called Art Academy. Another classmate of mine, Trivalano Lemaire, 97 grad too, and we both went to Art Academy following Mr. Koki's kind of wisdom.
So from painting and analog style, what made you go into the digital?
So like I was telling you, I double majored. I was painting and printmaking. The printmaking part of it was really interesting to me because there was like things called serigraph. So I had to grind limestones. I drew stuff with touche. Yeah, really, really interesting process. I think learning about printmaking. And the only reason why I got into printmaking was because Bradley is a printmaker too. I wanted to explore and dabble in those facets that Bradley, and actually that became a good sounding board into design because all the original graphic design and the ideals of printing actually are from printmaking. And the Bible was the first book that was ever published as an example for mass production. And you don't get those techniques, like those ancient techniques of like lithography and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of honestly how I ended up in design, was my background in, I guess, the traditional forms of printmaking. Yeah, segued into that. And then Parsons thought it was unique and special for their graphic design program because everything that they had was digital and I was analog. I didn't know how to use a computer until I went to New York. I handmade all my prints and everything. Basically, my portfolio for Parsons was handmade. They couldn't tell how I did it. So when I had to explain to them, like, oh, I did Japanese stab binding here. And for the perfect line, I used PVC glue and I did it by hand. And I did all these techniques. They were tripping out because that was all something like you would do in your masters and all that. But I was already doing it, and I wasn't even a freshman in their program. I mean, I've spent literally like 10 years in school. So
after your school experience, what was next for you, bro?
So started working at the NFL up in New York. Sophomore year, this amazing lady that I met named Betsy Parker worked at Nike, and she was trying to find me for a good month. The graphic design department said that they wanted her to meet me. Those of you know, Betsy's brother is probably the most famous person at Nike. He was a designer and became the CEO. His name is Mark Parker. So Betsy was his sister. When you get Mark Parker's sister yelling at you, trying to find you, it was it's kind of an interesting one meeting Betsy at that time. And sophomore year, I went to Nike. She thought it was a good idea because she just hired an art director from California that came from a skateboard company called Girl Skateboards. And he was a famous graphic designer and still is. His name is Michael Leone. Michael was my mentor over at Nike. Jared Reynolds that I met in the program too, he was already a senior designer at that time, but he was actually working on things like there was a track jacket that was a mix and match that he did. There was a Air Max festival that was kind of going on at that time. And then I think also too that time the Union Dunks came out that time too. So it was like my first time kind of seeing new aspects about sneakers and getting introduced into sneaker culture. And that was like 2004, 2005 for me.
What influenced you to become a designer and a creative director?
I think it was when I was printmaking in the studio. Really amazing teacher. His name is David Chong Lee. He's a really famous artist in the Bay Area. Part of that crew with Damien Soul, Mars One, that whole SF street art meets hyper realistic type of motifs with futuristic. I'm butchering it right now, but anyways, he made a book named God Made Dirt at that time, and he was handing it out to us, the kids, in his class, and I tripped out on it. I guess it's like a memoir of like everything that he found on the Muni, on the subway train. It was like old tickets, old stamps, sketches of like homeless people that he became friends with. Like there's this dude named Montgomery Jack that used to hang out all the time and that stuff. But basically, his book really inspired me. And then when I asked David, I said, "Hey, like, how did you put this together? Like, I don't understand." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? Because that's all my work." I'm like, "No, like, how did you put your work together? Like, how did you know like this makes sense with that?" And then he said, "Oh, that's my girlfriend, and it's his wife now, but that's my girlfriend." And I was like, "Well, what is that called?" And he's like, "That's called graphic design." And then that's the part where I thought, hey, if I could start to make my own books and actually start to write a narrative and put my own work together, and I don't have to rely on somebody to do that for me, and I wanted to do it myself, like, honestly, that was the catalyst of that. And then there was a store on Sutter that opened up that time, and it's called Huff. At that time, the store was brand new. And just seeing David's book in Keith's shop, that's the part that tripped me out, because I was like, I bought that book, but it's in that dope skate store. Like, wait, what? Like, honestly, that's how I ended up in New York. Couldn't sell a painting in San Francisco, and I just decided, like, hey, if I can't sell a painting, maybe I need to try something else. San Francisco was before New York. After Maryknoll,
and then you
took Bradley's advice and I left to go to San Francisco.
After you graduated from the Academy of Art in SF, you moved on and went to New York to do graphic design.
And went to Parsons in New York. I ended up going to Parsons because of the scholarship.
So how did you get your start in the design industry?
Got it. So after Nike, I actually went back to New York and I graduated. I told Michael, like, hey, I want to graduate, because they're kind of waiting for me to take the job or not. Betsy has the most amazing eye that I ever met for spotting talent, and I don't know why she picked me, but she did, and
that's amazing,
we're still friends to this day. So I went back, I graduated, and when I was done, then I hit up Betsy again, and I said, all right, I'm ready. Let's go to Oregon again. And she's like, oh, your job's gone. But something interesting kind of happened, and Nike just bought a surfing brand. Maybe you'd probably get into that too, because she knew how much I liked surfing and skateboarding and all that. Basically, she goes, yeah, they purchased this company called Hurley. And basically after that, I got shipped to go to Hurley in Costa Mesa, California, right after I graduated, 2006. So I worked on their creative design team, and that's the part that was really interesting to me, because I didn't know that there was design teams that serve to be the counterpart to marketing. Being in-house over there, it really taught me a lot about design, and basically more about the ideal of really practicing what you learn in school, where design is there to solve problems. And it's not about if you like its beauty and all this stuff about it, the aesthetics of it, and it's more about, hey, are you solving the problem? And can you present different solutions and different facets that achieve different goals of solving that current problem? And what is the best approach to solve that problem that is most relatable to that brand? And is this the best possible solution you can give within the given time frame? Because every designer knows, whenever you're trying to solve a problem, it's like a bomb that you're trying to put out. It's a ticking clock, and you're working backwards, and you got to cut that red wire, green wire at the last second, and hopefully it's enough to get it across the goal line. I got to learn all those aspects of I guess a marketing counterpart, being on an internal creative team over there.
What are your favorite brands now?
Geez, that's a good question. One of my favorite brands that I've always loved, that I still look up to, that I think do just really amazing work, is a brand called Undercover June. And what he does with his aesthetic, to me, has always been really timeless and classic. I've always appreciated his aesthetic and whatnot. I also love another technical brand as far as its functionality meets form and acronym. I think they do a really good job kind of tying the two together
Right.
in terms of that. But yeah, I'm kind of more into like just kind of classics and stuff like that. I think a new one that I do like is Neon Dior. I love their aesthetic. I love like how they do a spin on the past and kind of just doing little tweaks on it from that sense.
And I guess lifestyle brands, like aesthetic wise, not necessarily.
There's a group that it's sad they're gone now, but to me, for Dynamic, I've always looked up to them. It's called the Madberry Club, and they're out in New York, and they were about experimentation and just really being their own voice. And honestly, when I came into the industry with Dynamic, I've tried to just do that with myself. And when I saw them, I was like, oh, bro, they're just like a better version of what I'm doing and all that. But to me, crazy, I've always been inspired by them and what they've brought to the table. And I hope that brand will come back because it's really forward thinking and it's, I like the aesthetic. Brands that I'm kind of into and all that. So
under the Dynamic Dynosaur brand, what were your most memorable projects?
Oh my God, there's so many.
Or top three.
God. Top three.
I see your portfolio on the website, but some of them I see as like you were part of Skull. So specifically, as the independent, Dynamic Dynosaur agency.
It would be getting to work on Soda 11 with LeBron James during the NBA playoffs. That was an amazing one. I have a really dear friend of mine, Shelby Tiffany. What's up, Shelby? Anyways, his family's from Hawaii too. He has some Hawaii peeps too. Anyways, Shelby actually asked me, "Hey, I'm in a little pinch over here, and I need to do something for the release of LeBron's shoe during the NBA playoffs. Can you jump on board, or do you have time to?" And it worked out because I just opened up my studio, and it's just me by myself, and I definitely jumped at the chance, and basically it was really amazing as a concept because it was more about trying to unite like all these different schools that LeBron has given to, and creating some sort of vehicle for them to talk back to LeBron during the playoffs. So we created this box that had the Soda 11 that he never seen yet that he was going to wear in the playoffs. And we took all the different notes from all the kids from all the different schools. I think it was like 73 schools or something crazy like that. But all these different schools. And bro, I swear to God, 4 schools are from Hawaii too. Basically, all these schools put notes to LeBron, and I had the inner wrapper of the lid be all the notes from all the kids. So when he opened it up, you could see all of it, and the top part of it was like a collage of all the different photos of him in high school when he was a kid playing ball at Akron. And the actual tissue paper around the sneakers was actually a blueprint from his basketball court, his high school basketball. And then we did a lion as a wax seal on top of that, as a crest, as another little hidden thing. And then we attached like a little, like, I don't know, you can like pass notes to like a girl you like when you're in school. So there was a heart that was attached to one of the shoes because some girl put a note to LeBron or something like that. And I thought that was funny, so we pulled that out and then add that to the sneakers. But we also had all the different mascots of all the different schools die-cut it out to be stickers that were in there. There's buttons, and then we created like a Mead notebook that cool. Had everybody's notes consolidated in that thing for him when he got it during the playoffs. And a lot of the people at Nike brand and Nike basketball, North America brand. Um, yeah, they really like that project. I love that project. There's special meaning to me behind that because I got to work with my dear friend Shelby on that, and yeah, I was stoked on how it came out and the attention that it received.
Man, I want to talk about real quick the Nike. I don't know. It's like a mid shoe that you did with your dinosaur logo embroidered with the plaid. There's
Oh,
like the checkered pattern on that. I mean, what?
yeah.
I mean, can you share the story behind how
Yeah.
that came about?
So when you get to Nike, I guess one of your first tasks as your intern is to create a project or whatever that you want to talk about before you exit over there, and that's kind of like your
Oh,
final. For me, I actually got to team up with different design kids from around that
mm.
Betsy was kind of gathering for this and whatnot, and we yeah I just got to hang out with them a lot, and they were all fashion kids, so I didn't really know that lot about fashion at the time, but they were in the patterns and they were in different parts of Nike, and basically yeah, they're like, hey, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, I want to make a sneaker or something. And I was like, yeah,
Right.
like, oh, we can help you. And I was like, really? And then all of a sudden, like, all these amazing friends of mine, like Marcus and Erica, and then
Uh-huh.
Stella, those three designers that they actually started helping me make the patterns for those vandals. And I got to choose the fabric and choose the materials, and chose everything about how to make that sneaker, and that was actually like my first project
So
at
sick.
Nike, with the book that I made with it.
So, what are some projects you are currently working on?
Right now, I just got a call from New York, and I think Masta Killa from Wu-Tang wants to do another album cover together. So I'm probably gonna get
Nice.
briefs on that soon.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang and
Right.
'97 and all that when I was in school and all that. That was what people was bumping and all that. And, I never
Right.
thought I could even get the opportunity to work with people like them or like Jay Dilla as an example. And when Dilla passed, they're like, oh, we have unreleased material, and do you want to do the album cover, album art? And oh hell yeah, like dude, like Far Side, I was highly influenced by that. So I think like music influences design, and I think design influences music to me. And
Wait, wait. You designed a Jay Dilla album cover, the
yeah,
a posthumous one. Which one?
it was Motor City. So that's been the one thing that I've been surprised about is just like being able to be given the opportunities to kind of
Right.
work for different brands to help them solve problems that I think are just really fun things to work
Mm-hmm.
on, like the NCAA jackets that we did for the basketball teams that participated. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was an amazing project to be involved with too, because we were designing on the fly during the contest, and we didn't know what teams were
Crazy.
gonna make it, and you had to literally
Right.
like upload the design, and somebody's sewing the jacket right there to give to them. It's just
Insane.
like, yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah. As we're currently in the middle of a global pandemic, how is your business right now having to adapt to these new times?
Ooh, good question. Um, this is the crazy part. I actually do lots of conversations with a lot of Hawaii people that I look up to. Even to
Mm-hmm.
another cat from Hawaii. This dude named Junjo, who's a professional
Oh,
surfer,
yeah.
and owner of Information.
Mm-hmm.
We still talk and
Right.
BS on the phone and all that just to check up on business and all that. I owe you graphics, June. I know that. I actually told him like I actually had a hard time in May with kind of just seeing what's been going on and contracts getting canceled and things of that sort. And basically, I told June, hey, I think I need to reevaluate my business and maybe I need to reinvent my business model. And that's where I just started looking for other opportunities, other people to try to service, and things of that sort, where I think the news can really play a negative impact on your well-being, and really what you look into it, and really look at um, trying to be positive, and doing things that you can affect, that can improve what you're doing. And that's what I focused on. And I'm glad to say right now, as of actually today, I have a new team starting, and
Nice.
now we're 18 people. So I grew the team 9 people, from just looking at other opportunities and angles um, during hard times like this, that I felt like I could help out in what brands needed me to do. And yeah, I'm really thankful and lucky to have that.
Can you share some professional advice with our alumni who are looking to get into or are currently in the industry? Right?
I mean, here's the case. I could tell kids out there from Maryknoll, it's like you can have these life experiences, these opportunities that present itself in front of you, and sometimes too, somebody's going to dangle money in front of you and entice you with an opportunity that maybe you might not agree with, but maybe you think it's going to be okay, and maybe you're hard up on money, but ultimately in the end, you're going to have to live with that decision, whether you like it or not, because you took that. And for me, I took the money to go to Abercrombie and Fitch, even though I didn't think it was a brand that basically represented things that I wanted in my portfolio book. But I'm just letting like the younger kids out there that want to be aspiring designers that, hey, sometimes money's not everything, and you can do more damage to you and your significant other and your relationships with stress of a job and whatnot, for the money, versus having something you really love doing, and something you're passionate about. And sometimes that's a better answer. Like, the grass is not always greener. I think everybody out there, I guess, that wants to be designers and whatnot, if you have a bad experience of whatever you had, I guess, as an experience, use that as your strength and not your weakness, because there's aspects of that I had to improve on at Abercrombie, because I was an introvert, so I didn't really talk. So I thought, hey, I could just show my work and let the work do my talking for me. But when I met other people who can converse and elaborate and explain, and create stories behind their graphics, those are the ones that really excelled at the field. And half of designing is being able to articulate your intent and why you're doing what you're doing. And to me, I was crappy at that. I've used that after, when I went over to DC Shoes, as something that I wanted to improve on, with my own skill set. And I think turn your negative into positive, recognize your weaknesses, and turn it into something that you can be proud of. I mean, it's like Manny Pacquiao. You box with that left hand again and again, it's going to be stronger than your right hand. It's the same thing. Take those weaknesses and turn that into your most deadly weapon. It's important for everyone out there to find really good mentors that can really influence them and what they want to become. I think for me, there's definitely like 4 people that I could really out, like in my head, like right now, if I just name the top, it would be Bradley Koki, absolutely. There was this amazing like uncle that I had that he was a huge supporter for me. Buttons Khalil Kalani. I used to surf with him over at Kaiser's. He all supported my artwork, and he always said, hey, you need to go do something with this. And having that kind of reinforcement. I had another uncle, Uncle Miles. He's over there on Wahiwa side, North Shore. He always pushed me in surfing, really challenged me to do things that I didn't want to do. He kind of forced me to face the fear and all that. And I kind of just applied that to surfing and whatnot. My mom and my dad, she didn't support me going up there. She wanted to be typical doctor, lawyer,
Right. Right.
dentist, like everybody else wants their parents.
Right.
My mom was the same, but Uncle Miles really fought her on that, and he said like, hey, he put me up on a plane to get up there, or whatever, because he really believed in that, and it really forced my mom to trust me to go to art school. And when I went to art school, I had her trust since after that, and for her to be my mom and my dad, all the single parent moms out there, nothing but props to them.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you.
We're always looking for alumni stories to share, so feel free to reach out or send us a class note. We'll be posting new episodes every month, so be sure to follow us on all our social media channels for updates on everything alum. Mahalo for tuning in.